All right, y'all, I am hitting the buttons. So if anybody has any questions, good morning, Melinda. If anybody has any questions while I'm doing that, I am happy to start and answer. How's everybody's week going so far? It's the end of the month. Okay, let me make sure. Get this shared up. Yay! Congratulations, Amanda. That is super exciting. Love it. We had a couple people in the mindset call yesterday. Who've gotten new clients within the last week or so. So I mean, just to like touch on that, I talked a couple of weeks ago, we talked about marketing and stuff and how important it is to be doing it right now. So I think that's like totally proof. Because we have several students in the program who've been signing clients like crazy, getting potentials, reaching out, and all the things. So everybody who thinks, hey, I just need to wait because nobody's going to be looking until the beginning of the year, you're totally going to be missing out because people are looking now. They're getting ready for the end of the year. Some people still haven't filed taxes and all the things. So you don't know what you're missing out on if you don't go ahead and get started. And make sure that you are doing the marketing and stuff. Let me share this to the group to make sure we have, and everybody has the link and all the things. Yeah, Kimberly, time definitely flies. It's hard to believe it's the end of October already. So definitely end of October. Share this to the group. All right. Again, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer those while I'm getting everything, all the buttons pushed and links everywhere. Today we're going to talk about boundaries and just kind of setting them within your business and all of the things. So let me ask y'all this: those of y'all who are on, how do y'all feel about boundaries? Is that something you're kind of struggling with? Let me hear y'all's thoughts. And y'all can put it in the chat. Y'all can unmute if you want to unmute. Whatever's best for you.
Mine is like trial and error. It's like I have to learn from my mistakes.
From a boundary standpoint.
Yes.
So like, and what do you mean? Like reply, is it when to reply to clients? Or like it's just all the things.
Yeah, all the things.
Okay.
It might not be the best way to learn, but it does help me learn and understand why behind what I'm trying to do. So
Yeah, no, most definitely. And that's kind of what we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Because one thing, like when you're setting your boundaries, it definitely should be around like what are your goals and all the things. Because like if you have kids, like do you want to work when they're there? Are you trying to only work when they're at school? Like what does that look like for you? Let's see, Kimberly said, I think boundaries are important and I can say no. I feel like it's more of a time management issue trying to balance tasks. Okay, awesome. We can definitely talk about that a little bit too. So, and I will say we have some coaches who are really and have been really good about not time management, boundaries from day one. And you, again, you have to kind of figure out like, what are those boundaries for you? What are the things that the clients are doing that make you feel draining, or you feel like, hey, I should not be doing this at this time? So, like for me, one of the things that I had a hard time with early on in my business was I was working full time. So I had kind of, a lot of times I was replying to emails or text messages or phone calls or whatever late at night on the weekends and stuff like that. Well, that at that, because I was doing that, I kind of didn't have a boundary on these are work hours and all the things. So that was something I struggled with when I left my full-time job was, okay, now I have to set a boundary on, because these clients think they can text, they can call at any time, because my availability at that time was evenings, was weekends, and all the things. So you do have to kind of feel, and sometimes people are, we have a couple of coaches who refuse to answer the phone. You have to schedule a call with them, or it all needs to come through email, Keeper, Listio, whatever their communication program is with their clients. So you do have to kind of figure out, like, what does that look like for you? What does that feel like? What feels good to you? Because everything's different for everybody. Some people want to have the phone calls and all the things, but you also do have to should be keeping that in mind as you're quoting. So when we were talking about the quoting and stuff last week, you want to make sure that, like, how much time are you spending on the phone with these clients? Is that time included in there? Because some may take advantage of calling, and sometimes it's not even a matter of like them taking advantage of it. It's not even thinking, like, them not even thinking about like how much time you are spending, because it's a 5-minute phone call here and there, but it adds up. So it's not necessarily that they're trying to take advantage of you or the situation. It just ends up happening that way. So again, today we're going to talk about boundaries. One thing to remember, and a lot of people are like, boundaries can be scary and feel scary because it feels like you're putting up walls, you're trying to keep people out. But in reality, this is like, hey, we're putting up some guardrails to protect our peace, your focus, your purpose. So why have you, the reason you started your business, whatever that may be, and all the things. So you run, so when you're owning a business, and that's another thing that we have to, that is a huge transition for a lot of people. You go from working for somebody at a 9 to 5 to now you're the business owner. So you can say no to clients, you can put up boundaries, you can do all the things, and it is okay. But it's hard to realize that and to accept that, because that is a huge mindset thing, and we talk about that a lot too, going from being a employee to a business owner mindset, and boundaries is one of those huge things. So we need to stop looking at them as like these are barriers. They're not barriers, but they're protecting your peace, your productivity as a bookkeeper. You can show up better for your clients, for yourself, for your family, all of the things when you put these boundaries up. And boundaries, not having them set can definitely lead to burnout, frustration. You start making mistakes, resentment, like, why did I take on this client? Because now they're driving me crazy, or whatever the case may be. So you want to make sure that when you're taking on new clients, and again, sometimes if you already have clients and you haven't set the boundaries, it's a little bit harder to put them in place after the fact. Yes, Patrice, did you have a question? I'm sorry. I just saw your hand was
I
raised.
did. I just was like trying to let you finish your thought because it was a good one, and I'm
Yeah.
listening and learning. So I haven't been to one of your, your Zooms in a long time. I haven't had like, time. So I had time today and I popped on. So I'm glad I'm here because boundaries is something that I need to know about. Like, so I really haven't gotten like the bookkeeping off the ground because I was focusing on, I was trying to do a combination with bookkeeping and notary, like a mobile notary, like loan signing. So
Okay.
that now that that's like situated, I'm looking to add like the bookkeeping, like to now focus on my bookkeeping over the next year. But I
Okay.
have one person who she knows that I do both. So we do notary stuff together. So she always like throws in like a bookkeeping question, but hasn't formally asked me to help her. So I'm trying to think, as you said, setting boundaries before taking on, or like, like I need to know like how much can I be willing to help her? Because, like, I do know that I wouldn't mind, like, she's helped me in other ways for the notary stuff. So bookkeeping wise, I wouldn't mind assisting her and looking at her books, like where she's at right now, pro bono, and then lead into, hey, I can help you further, and let's like kind of like make a deal, like, and take her on as a client after that. But I don't know how much of in shambles her books are technically. Um, and so what are some safe ways to do it without saying, I'm going to do this for free? And then it leads to thinking I'm going to do it forever, for free, or have a problem with me saying, I'm going to charge you now.
What I would do is I would approach it from the standpoint on like, hey, if you want to give me accountant access to your books, I'm assuming she has QuickBooks Online. If you want to give me accountant access to your books, I can take a look at it and kind of let you know where you stand and kind of get you a quote together on how much it would cost to get everything situated and get it straightened out for you. So kind of approach it from that standpoint. Some people charge to do like a review.
Right.
They call it like a diagnostic review. I personally don't, because what I do is like, I'm going to go in and review your books. When I go in and review your books, I'm then trying to get them a quote and sell them on my services. So
Okay.
I'm not necessarily, when I'm doing a review, I'm not going in and I'm fixing anything. I'm just going in and looking and seeing what's wrong, what needs to be done, and trying to get them to a quote together. Even if it's like, hey, I come back and, hey, it might take me 10 hours, or we're going to do a 10-hour retainer, and then we'll reevaluate again in 10 more hours and kind of see where it's at. Even if it's something along those lines, but at least you're getting compensated for something. And if
Okay.
it starts to get where it's like she's asking a ton of questions, you can always say something like, hey, that's not something that maybe you do need to look at her books and see. That's something I really need to dig in and look at what you've done, all those things. Or maybe it's something where it's like, hey, let's just get a call scheduled or an appointment scheduled at a different time, because I don't have enough time to go over all that. And then what you could do is send her like a Calendly link or something and have it prompt her for a payment. So then that way you're not physically having to ask for it, but the Calendly and everything's already set up that way.
Okay. Yeah, because she's like asking like very specific, because like she's like, I believe she's running off of Excel still, like she's doing like manual.
Gotcha.
So I told her, I said, I have QuickBooks, access. I was like, if you are interested, I said, I know that I can convert your Excels into a spreadsheet. I said, but I can't say that, formally without seeing what you have. I said, I know there's a way, because she's like, I guess, tracking her 1099s, like, or like what she's paying out to people, but she wants to produce a 1099. So I told her like, that's a tax software. And I said, I believe I can put that into QuickBooks. They do have reports that you can run and that you can produce, but I don't want to just like I said, offer it for free. And then she thinks, okay, yeah, I have something else on top of that. So I like your idea of, offering the review, and if it's going to be more time consuming, then say, hey, let's set up a specific time to review this together, and I can dive deeper, and then it'll be a fee for that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that, because I'm it's a friend, and I'm like, but I don't want to cross that boundaries without having something in place. So I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no problem. And I will tell y'all this, when you're dealing with friends, when you're dealing with people that you deal with other services and stuff for, that is a boundary that it's hard to like know, like the boundaries get blurred almost, because it's like, how much do I give? How much do I this and that? So I've tried to look at all of it from like a different, like a mindset perspective, because there is a book, I think it's one of Jen Sincera book, her books, that she mentions, like when you start doing things for free for family and friends and stuff like that, because you feel like you should, or you feel like, because this is somebody I know, I can't charge them, like all the things, then you're almost like, it's a mindset thing, but you're putting stuff out there like, not only for you, but for them as well, almost like, hey, they can't afford my services. So you're kind of doing a disservice to yourself, but you're also doing a disservice to them. And then one thing that I've even done, like if you're given free information and stuff, a lot of times you can offer like reviews from these people. So if it turns out like, hey, this really isn't something that it's going to be a good fit for me to do for you because you're not at a point that you need my services yet, but hey, can you go leave me a review? Because now at least you can get other clients from the reviews that she left. So kind of think about it from that standpoint, because you want this to, you definitely don't want to blur those boundaries at all, for sure. Okay, so, and y'all, let's talk a little bit about, so one thing you do want to be very clear on as we're thinking about boundaries and trying to figure out what boundaries you need to set in place is we need to get clear on what our why is. We need to get clear on what our goals are and things like that. And obviously we'll be digging like really deep into that coming into January, but still we're at the end of the year. So in the next 60 days and stuff, we still need to know like what are our goals for the rest of the year and all of the things that we really need to focus on. So is it like, did you set up your business? So like for me, I set up my business because I wanted more time for my daughter. I wanted to be able to bring her to school, drop her off. I wanted to be at practices, competitions. I didn't want to miss anything. So that has been like one of those hard boundaries for me. Like now she's driving, she's a senior in high school, so things are a little bit different this year. So we've had to make some new adjustments. But previously it was like, okay, I wanted to be the person that was dropping her off at school. I wanted to be the person that was in carpool picking her up. So if it didn't happen between, like if I needed a call set up, it needed to happen between like 8 o'clock and 2:30 because she's getting out of school. I need to be in carpool line by 2:30 to pick her up. So if I had calls and stuff, it was either scheduled then or it was, okay, we get home and I have a little bit of time there. But then it was also like practice days or this time and all that. So I do work at practices and stuff because she's kind of doing her thing with her coaches and all that. So those are some things to kind of be thinking about, like, what do you want your schedule to look like? There's plenty of times where it's like, okay, we have, like right now we're in football season. So we have pep rallies, we have football games, and like all of the things. So knowing all of that, my schedule looks a little bit different. So that also means like Wednesday nights, right now, she's driving herself to youth. She comes home, she gets out of school, she goes to work, she goes to youth. She doesn't get home till 9 o'clock or so on Wednesday nights. So Wednesdays, I work late because I know she's gone, she's not here and stuff like that. And I know that my Fridays look a little bit different because we've had pep rallies, we have to leave early for games and things like that. So you want to keep in mind and think about those kind of things when you're like, what are your goals? What do you want that to look like? Some of you, it's like, hey, I want to travel. Okay, we have one of our coaches, she travels out of the country a lot. She does it a lot, but that means sometimes she's working ton of hours because now she's going to be gone for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. She's out of the country. So, and she does work some while she's out of there. So you do want to kind of think about like, what is that? What does that look like? Also to touch a little bit on what I was mentioning to Patrice a while ago, if you want to charge clients for your time when they're setting up calls, like if it's something outside of, like maybe you figure in 30-minute calls once a month in your quote when you do it. If it's anything over that, already have something set up where it's a Calendly link or Zoom link or whatever, where they have to pay before they hop on a call with you. One, they're probably going to schedule less. And two, then at least you're compensated for your time at that point. So you just want to kind of make sure that you're figuring all those things out and what that looks like for you. Are you the person who like, hey, I don't want to be on a ton of calls? Then have them schedule, have them pay, like figure all that out. So you do want to kind of keep all that in mind as you're figuring out what your boundaries are, because your boundaries are going to look, my boundaries are going to look different than what your boundaries are and the next person and all the things. And you don't want to take on a client and feel frustrated, not want to be there, not want to show up and do their books, get burnt out on it or anything like that. So making sure from the beginning, if you have clients already, then again, it's a little bit harder to backtrack and try to set those boundaries, but you could do it moving forward with clients for sure. And you can try to set them with the clients you currently have. You're just going to have to make sure you stand very firm on it and let them know, hey, this is my work hours. This is how I want you to communicate with me, all the things. And a lot of them, I mean, obviously it depends on your personal clients and stuff. Most of them that I've ran into are pretty respectful of that. And it's also, I had a life coach tell me at one point, when you set boundaries and you do things like that with clients, you're also giving them permission to do the same thing, because we've all been at that point, and some of them are going through the same things you are right now. They might be struggling with setting boundaries with their clients and things like that. So you're kind of giving them permission that it's okay to set boundaries and stuff. So most of the time, you're not going to get a lot of kickback. It's just going to be an adjustment to those boundaries, whatever they may be, whether it's the phone calls, the emails, all the things. And also remember this, that when you stop saying yes to everything, you realize how much more you're being effective, creative, and you start serving the right clients. You then start attracting the people that are really your ideal client, because they're starting to respect your boundaries. You're able to show up for your clients that you have right now in a better way, because now you have that time set where, hey, I'm showing up for this client during this time. I'm not taking any phone calls. So your focus is totally on them, on their books. So you're making less mistakes. You're less stressed out about the situation, all the things. And it's okay to do that, y'all. Again, this is your business. You can run it however you want. But one thing we do, a lot of bookkeepers always feel guilty about setting boundaries, especially like after the fact. And they're worried that it's going to start hurting the relationship of their clients, the relationships that they have with their clients, and things like that. And again, even if you trying to do it backwards, it might be a little tougher, but if you start setting the boundaries right up front, you're going to then start attracting your ideal clients. You're going to start working with people that you're going to be much happier working with, because they're going to respect your same boundaries and all the things. Because there's tons of business owners that I've run into that they do not work on Fridays. You are not going to get in touch with them if it's after a certain time and all the things. So they're there too. They're doing the same thing. You just have to find your people. So again, we want to make sure that we're focused on whatever your goals are, figuring out what your goals are, and setting boundaries. If anybody has any questions about like how do I set these boundaries or anything around this, like please feel free to let me know. So and again, start thinking about like what are your biggest goals that you have toward the end of the year. So we kind of have like 60 days left ish till the end of the year. So what are the goals? What are we trying to work toward? And y'all, we're coming up on the holidays and stuff as well. So think about that. What does that look like for you and your business? Make sure you're standing firm on that you're not taking calls on Thanksgiving Day, on Christmas Day, on whatever the case is, answering emails, all the things. And one thing that I did not realize, and some of y'all are probably going to laugh because y'all probably know this, but even like from an email standpoint, working late at night, I didn't know this previously and have learned this since, obviously. But working full time and everything, you can schedule your emails to be sent. So even if you're working at midnight, you can schedule the email to be sent the next day at 9 a.m. or whatever your business hours are. So it doesn't feel like, oh, she's breaking her own schedule or anything like that. So you want to make sure that you are standing firm on those boundaries from both standpoints. So if you're doing emails, make sure you're scheduling them out to be sent at whatever your business hours are technically. And then again, if you have set a hard boundary on, you have to schedule a call with me. When that client calls, don't answer the phone. Have them like send them a message back and say like, hey, I'm busy. Like let's get a call scheduled, and send them the link. Yeah. I had no idea. That's so crazy to say probably. But like when I started my business, didn't realize that was a thing. Obviously a couple months in, learned that was a thing. But yeah, that's the best thing ever, because you can be working at midnight and schedule those emails to go out at 9 a.m. in the morning or whatever. So you're still continuing to keep those boundaries. So yeah, it's pretty, if you don't know that. And y'all, same thing with like Facebook posts, things like that. There's tons of things that you can schedule out. So definitely do that. All right. So over the next week or so, definitely be paying attention to like what are some of the things that you're, and maybe as you're on this call, if you're thinking of some of those things, what are some of those things that you're saying yes to that doesn't align with your goals? And why are you still saying yes? Start thinking about those things. Is it the client that you have to go into the office to? That's been one of those things that I've set a boundary about as well. Sometime if it's something that's like, hey, periodically I will go in, but for the most part, I'm virtual. I'm not showing up to your office every single day. If it's somebody who's looking for that, you're not my ideal fit. That's not, because I need to be flexible. I want to be able to be there if something's going on at my daughter's school and all the things. I left my 9 to 5 to not have to ask for permission. So think about that from that standpoint. So as you're setting boundaries, some people are perfectly fine with going into the office, and that's great too. Again, you can run this business how you want to run this business. Is it ever too late in the year to start offering services? No, most definitely not. Especially like a lot of people who are reaching out. If there's tons of people who are reaching out now. I don't know if you were on the call when we first jumped on, but Amanda signed a client. We've had several people in our coaching program who signed clients recently. I've had a ton of people reaching out recently looking for quotes and signed a client. So this year is the time. A lot of them, when what they're reaching out for, some of them are cleanup jobs that they're looking to have done. Some are just looking to get on top of 2025 stuff because they don't want it to be behind for when it's time to do taxes come April or whenever they're filing. So what is most likely going to happen is you're going to be doing a cleanup job, whether it's for 2025 or previous years, but you can definitely start offering services now. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about like marketing and stuff. One thing that we see a lot with people is at this time of year, people start bookkeepers, everybody kind of starts to slack off because it's like, oh, it's the holidays. Nobody's going to be interested. They're just going to wait till January when tax time comes around and all the things. Now's the time to start showing up and start offering services, making sure people know what you have to offer, that you are doing bookkeeping and all the things, because some of them are ready and some of them are looking now. Not all the bookkeepers, not all the CPAs are marketing. They're taking a break because taxes are done, like all the things. So now's the perfect time to get out there, because when they are looking, then they'll think about you and say, hey, let me reach out to her because I know she's offering bookkeeping services. So yeah, it's never too late. I would not say there's ever like a bad time to make sure that you're offering services, for sure. All right, so let's talk about like some of the guilt that comes around. A lot of bookkeepers think that like saying no to a business owner is like being rude, unhelpful, all the things. But it's not. It's a form of respect for yourself, your clients, the mission of your business, your why, all of the things. So you want to make sure that you're enforcing whatever that is. So is it payment timelines? Is it booking a call instead of just picking up the phone and answering it? You teach your clients how to treat you. And the more that you're consistent and you show up doing it and enforcing those boundaries, the better. Bye, Patrice, you too. So you want to make sure that you are consistently showing up with whatever boundaries those are. It's okay to say no. If it's a client and they want to add on a service that you don't want to offer, like payroll or something, it's okay to tell them no. A lot of times if it's something that I don't handle, what I'll do is kind of find them a referral. That's not something I handle or want to handle at the moment. Here is a referral. Here's somebody that you can reach out to and do it. If it's a client that you're like, I don't want to have like payroll, for instance, bill pay, things like that. A lot of that you have very strict schedules where it's like, okay, every single Monday I have to run payroll. If that's not something you want to have that responsibility for, don't do it. It's okay. You can tell them no. There's plenty of clients that just need bookkeeping services that you don't feel like you're on such a strict deadline, timeline, whatever. that you can do and not offer payroll services. There's other companies that do offer payroll services. Payroll is one of those things that, like, if it's done in Gusto, if it's done in ADP, you can train your clients how to do it themselves. Have Gusto ADP train them to do it themselves. So there's so many options and options out there to be able to keep your boundaries and feel good about it. So we don't need to look at it as being rude or unhelpful. We're just trying to serve our clients better. So kind of think about it from that standpoint. And I think that's one of the things, like, I definitely struggled with in the beginning of my business, because it felt like you have to offer tax services, you have to offer payroll services, you have to offer all these different things. And when in reality, if you're just doing bookkeeping, you're going to do a better job at it, because now you know how to do bookkeeping really well. So just keep that in mind. I had somebody, and I've probably told y'all this before, had somebody tell me at one time that she did not want a CPA to do her books. She was looking for a bookkeeper specifically. And as I asked questions more, her comment to me was the CPA she had doing it in the past did not pay enough attention to detail. As a bookkeeper, that's your job. Pay attention to the detail. So you can do your job better if you're holding those boundaries. And y'all, that is, if you do both, great. But if you just want to do bookkeeping and you're really good at bookkeeping, that's fine. That works as well. All right. So boundaries are needed the most when we start to feel resentment, exhaustion, anxiety, all of the things. The main types of boundaries that we have to make sure that we set are going to be time boundaries. So define your work hours. And don't answer text message. If you said your hours are 9 to 5, don't answer that text message after 9 o'clock. Or if you set days, sometimes depending on, and this kind of goes back to the time management side of things, some bookkeepers set, okay, I'm working on client A on Monday. Maybe it's, you have 3 clients you're working on Mondays, 3 more on Tuesdays, whatever. You have a schedule set for those clients on what days you're working on them. If that's the case, then you only answer their emails, their phone, but make sure you communicate this stuff with them that, like, hey, I'll be in your books on such and such date. I will get back to you. You can have admin days. You can have office days, all those things. So it's kind of like time management and setting those boundaries, but communicate that with your clients as well. In energy boundaries is another thing. So avoid draining clients and overcommitting. So again, if it's that I don't want to have to show up every single Monday into their office and run payroll or whatever the case is, say no. It's okay. You don't have to do it. So anything that you feel like is draining your energy, if the client itself is draining, y'all, I've had to fire clients before because they were too much. It was not a good fit. Personalities clashed, like whatever the case is, it's okay. Set those boundaries. This is your business. You can run it however you want. So you figure out who's that ideal client, all the things. And then emotional boundaries, not taking on clients' financial stress as your own. So this can be tough because, like, sometimes you'll have a client who maybe stops paying or a payment declines or whatever. Don't continue to do the work if they haven't made the payment. So it's kind of don't take on, and because sometimes you'll hear like, I just don't have the money, but I really need this done for XYZ or whatever the case is. Keep your boundaries. Stand firm in that. Make sure you're getting compensated, because then you're going to start to really resent the client and all the things. So by not committing to those boundaries, your clients start expecting responses on weekends. You start feeling guilty for taking vacations, and you start saying yes to cleanups or add-on services or whatever. And it's things that you really do not want to do. And you start to hate and dread and don't want to show up and don't want to do it. So make sure you stand firm in whatever those boundaries are, whatever you enjoy doing, your ideal client is, all the things. And then another thing, like, remember, a boundary isn't necessarily real until it's communicated clearly. So we have to let our clients know, and you don't have to come out and say this is a boundary, but this is my office hours. I will not be responding to emails, texts, phone calls outside of this. You have one phone call a month. So if you call, if you need more than that, it will be XYZ fee, all these different things. That's things that you want to make sure your clients know. And sometimes it's things that just randomly pop up and you're like, I think it was Amanda maybe saying it earlier, that it's like, oh, I should have set a better boundary on that, or whatever the case is. And it's okay to start doing that then as it comes up, especially as you're early on in the business, because you're still kind of learning what works for you, what works for your schedule, what feels good for you, and all the things, because it is going to be different. And again, I've been doing this for 6.5 years now. What my boundaries were before are different than what they are now, because my goals look different, how I want to show up, the type of clients that I'm okay with working with, and all the different things. Because early on in my business, I was going to take on anything. I did not care, like all the things. Now I've gained the confidence and I see that I don't have to just do anything and do it for whatever, a couple of dollars or whatever the case is. So it does change as you grow, and it can be one of those things that's constantly changing. You just have to make sure that you are communicating them very well. So again, an example would be my office hours are 9 to 5. I'll respond first thing in the morning. Another example could be, sounds like a great project, but it's not something I can take on right now. Again, if you have a referral, you can always offer that to them. Invoices are due before work resumes on your account. That is a big one. Again, it's also a big one that I always try to make sure you get a payment before you even start services. So they should be paying you, whether it's on the 1st of the month. Like if they're paying you on the 1st of October, that's for October's bookkeeping. And cleanup jobs, same thing. They pay before you begin the work. And if you stand firm to that and stick with that, you will be very thankful that you did, for sure. Stress consistency. So every exception tells people your boundaries are negotiable. So you want to make sure that you are staying consistent and that you're showing up. Like if it's 9 to 5, the first time you answer that phone call at 7 o'clock, now it feels like, oh, I can call at 7 o'clock. Be very, like, stress that to your clients. These are my boundaries, and make sure that you don't give any exceptions or anything. All right. I know I'm throwing a lot at y'all. Anybody have any questions as we're going through this? Okay, so one thing to really remember is boundaries are not selfish. That's how you're gonna get the rest you need, be able to focus on your clients, give them the best of yourself, give them good work, all of the things. So you're not only doing yourself a favor, you're doing it for them too. So try to remember it that way and think about it that way, instead of like, oh no, they're going to be mad because my office hours are XYZ. Think about it from like a CPA firm. What are their office hours? They're not showing up at midnight majority of the time, and all the things. So be firm on those boundaries. All right, so I want to circle back to Kimberly talked about time management. So let's circle back. If y'all have questions on boundaries and stuff, feel free to drop them. If y'all have other questions, feel free to drop those and stuff as well. But the next thing, let's touch on the time management side of things and balancing tasks. So a couple of things with time management to keep in mind is again, as I've gone through my business, different time management systems have worked better for me at different times in my business. Sometimes it's time blocking. Sometimes it's, like I mentioned earlier, some people have said, okay, I only work on this client on these days. I have also done like a sticky note system from time management perspective. So let's say on Sundays, I'll write out what are some different tasks that I need to do. Now, keep this in mind when I say this. Because of the coaching business and stuff, I have calls periodically. So sometimes I might have like a 30-minute time block in between calls and things like that. So when I do some of that, I get when I do my sticky note thing that I'm about to explain, I think about it from like, what can I do in a 30-minute time period? Because I need something that I can really be able to just grab. So sticky note system, what that is like I always color code it. Sticky notes, something might be like the coaching business, something's going to be a bookkeeping business, something might be personal, housework, whatever. And I started doing this partially because it would feel like, okay, nothing got done in whatever business this week, or nothing got done around the house this week, or whatever. So it kind of gave me, okay, what can I do and make sure everything's balancing and I'm getting something done in every area. So I'd write down like, what's a task I can do in 30 minutes, have them all laid out. I have this board behind me. That's where perfect place for them for me. What are those tasks I need to complete this week? And then you could physically see that, okay, everything's even, or okay, yeah, housework really slacked this week, or whatever the case is. And sometimes it's just like toward the beginning of the month, there's just typically more bookkeeping stuff that needs to be done typically. So I need to focus more on that business at that time. So it just kind of depends. And you got to figure that out. So that's one thing that's worked. Again, time blocking is another. But I'll always feel like whether it's time blocking, sticky notes, just a task list, something along those lines, having everything written out that I need to do is the better option, because sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to sit here for 15 minutes and try to figure out what I need to do. And then now I only have 15 minutes left to handle whatever the task is. So you want to make sure that you know what your tasks are, you have a list, all those things. So I don't know, Kimberly, if that helps. If you have some more specific questions, some things that you've tried, I will also say this from a like marketing standpoint and things like that, those are always the things that we seem to put off because it doesn't feel like it has the urgency behind it once you start getting clients and you have work to do for clients and all those things. So marketing should be one of those things that's first on your list, whether it's I woke up this morning and I made posts or sent messages out or whatever the case is. That should be one of the first things that you do on your to-do list. And it can be like, hey, I just spent 30 minutes doing it. That's fine. But, and another thing that a lot of people will say, hey, I go to do social media posts or whatever, and it should have only taken me 30 minutes, but here I am 3 hours later and I just got lost scrolling or saw something, whatever. Set timers if you have to make sure that you're staying on task with whatever it is, because sometimes the email dings and you get distracted from the books that you were working on, or you do get lost in the Facebook or whatever social media that you're doing your post on. So setting timers and stuff can be super helpful as well to make sure that you're staying on task and doing all the things. I don't know if that's helpful or if you have any other questions. Yeah, I totally feel like I'm busy but not getting things done. I like the suggestion to tangible see that you've accomplished tasks. Yeah. And I can tell you, I struggled most with this during COVID, feeling like I was busy, but what the heck did I do? Like I would feel like I was working 24/7 and I'm like, but I have no idea what I did because I felt like work wasn't getting done. So at that time, I like tracked every 30 minutes. What was I doing that day? And for me at that time, yeah, the shift of working at home it really is. It makes such a huge difference. And like at that time I had kind of gotten used to, because okay, so I left my full-time job in November of 2019. So from November to March, of 2020, I'd kind of gotten used to it in a groove of what I thought of with my daughter in school and me working and all the things. And then COVID happens and she's home and we're homeschooling and all that. And it's like, okay, now I'm home all the time. And like, how do I even manage this? So it was hard. But once I started tracking, like, okay, and you could do it for like a week, a month, whatever you need to do, but track like every single 30 minutes, what are you doing? And then you kind of start to see, okay, this is where my time's at. My time would be better spent doing this or that or whatever the case is. And you can kind of make some adjustments. But it was really eye-opening for me because it felt like I was working all the time. But what was happening was I was waking up early in the morning, I was doing work. She would get up later, we would do her work, and then I would work again later. But it was just because it was so spread out all throughout the day that it felt like I was working all the time. So yeah, when you have something tangible, whether it's tracking your time like that, or like the sticky note thing that I mentioned, or something where you can physically see, hey, these things are getting accomplished. I am doing something. And again, it may be like, okay, I did tons of housework this week, but my bookkeeping side. Okay, well, then we need to make some adjustments and changes to that next week. So it is definitely about figuring out what that balance is and what that looks like for you. And again, it could be the beginning of the month, I've got to focus on my bookkeeping business more. The house will come, or what, and I'm saying the house, y'all, whatever the task may be or whatever you have will be later. So you can kind of make those adjustments. But actually seeing where it's at is truly eye-opening because at one point it's like, what did I do all day? Like I really feel like I was working and I got nothing done. On a positive note, I've been able to block out about 30 minutes Monday through Friday to do marketing. So I'm seeing that. Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Block out the marketing and you're going to start to see the results. Be consistent. That has got to be the top priority. Because one thing, and we kind of talked about this a little bit on our mindset call yesterday, it's really easy to, whether you get one client, you get two clients, three clients, where it's like, I'm not going to market anymore because you want to put on the brakes because you're like, I don't know if I can handle any more work or whatever the case is. So you kind of like, okay, I'll do my marketing later. I'll do my marketing later. Well, then you got to start that whole thing all over again to get the momentum going, where you just need to keep it going because you can, one, even if you have 5 people reach out today, they're probably not all going to sign an engagement letter tomorrow and get you everything you need to start a cleanup job tomorrow. If they did, that's amazing. Let's get on a one-to-one, let's chat, let's figure it out. But the odds are it's not going to happen, because everybody's one person might sign it today, one next week, all of them might sign it tomorrow, one gets you everything you need today, the rest of them next week, whatever the case is. So make sure you just keep marketing because you don't want to have to get that freight train going again. You want to keep that momentum rolling for sure. Let's see, Sherry, how do I get this notification sent to email to open Zoom on my desktop? I'm gonna grab a link for you. You should be able to sign up on this link for the Thursday calls, and it should send you an invite. We also usually send out an email. Here's the link. We also usually send out an email on Wednesdays. So just make sure you're signed up. Like when you click on that and you say, yes, I want the free Q&A, use whatever email you're wanting to use. So I don't know if it's a different email that you're logging into or whatever, but just make sure you're using like your business email if that's what you want to log into with and whatever. And then it'll send that. It should also be sending like out reminders before we go live and all the things. And then we do post it in the group. It goes live to Facebook and YouTube too. So you should have all of that. But again, we send out a reminder like with the topic and everything on Wednesdays typically. So usually you'll see that come to your email. All right. Anybody else have questions? Anything else I can answer for y'all today? I'm gonna check Facebook real quick just to make sure nobody had any questions there that I might have missed. Definitely y'all Remember, boundaries, stick to them. You, your goals, your clients, everybody is going to thank you at the end of the day for it. It's going to be so worth it. You will be glad that you set the boundaries. Time management, again, same thing. Make sure that you're, and Kimberly, I would say like, try a couple of the things that I've mentioned. If you feel like something's not working and you still need some other time management system or something, send us a message, hop on one of the calls, something, let us know. Let's talk about it because there's so many different time management systems. And y'all, if you're struggling with boundaries and you want to set up some new boundaries or you need a new time management system or whatever the case is, you have me and Sherry, but we have 10 other coaches as well. Everybody has different strengths and stuff on things that they do. I can tell you, Bonnie, Abby, like they are amazing at setting good boundaries from day one. So like those, you can have calls with any of the coaches. But everybody has their strengths. Everybody has different things that they've done too, from setting up boundaries and stuff like that. So like I mentioned earlier, everybody's boundaries are going to look a little different based on what your goal is, based on what your why is, and all the things. So if you're like, hey, these are the kind of boundaries I'm trying to set, or this is what I'm struggling with. If you're like, I don't know who would be best to schedule a call with, and you want to call with somebody else, send me a message, post in the group. Let's talk about it. We'll figure out who's a better fit for you for your specific situation. Because maybe it's not me. Maybe you're not a mom and you don't have that to worry about as far as from kids standpoint and all the things. That's okay. We have other coaches and stuff as well, who are probably in the same situation. So yeah, let's, if y'all have any questions, we still have a couple of minutes. So if y'all have other questions, if it's bookkeeping questions, marketing questions, mindset questions, where do I find the calendar to book the 101s? I don't see on it should be in your portal, Kimberly. It should say additional support, I believe. I can send you the link though. Well, actually, I can send you a link, but the link that I'm gonna send you, it's not just because you're in the program, you get them at a discounted cost for one-to-ones. It should be when you log in, if you go to like your main page, it should say like additional calls, coaching calls, something along those lines to click. To be able to get it. If but I can send you let's see. Okay. Yeah, and if you want to like private message me and like send me a screenshot or anything like that, or if you want to post it in the group or in the squad group chat, any of that, feel free to do that. Because if I see your screen, then I can tell you like, hey, perfect, awesome. But yeah, so if you're in the program, you get them discounted. If not, there's coaching calls there. And some of you are in our unlimited one-to-one program, so you have those included. But yeah, we also have all the group calls and stuff that y'all can hop on and ask questions and everything too. So awesome. Okay. Well, if nobody else has any questions, we'll hop off. But y'all have an awesome weekend. Tomorrow is Halloween. So hopefully everybody has fun with kiddos. If you are doing that, have a great weekend. We're starting a new month the next week, whenever Saturday. So time to focus on all the bookkeeping and all the things again. So get some goals, figure out where you're at so far for the year. How much more do you want to make before the end of the year? How many more clients? Maybe it's just I need peace and boundary set, and that's your goals for the next 60 days. Let's do it. Let's work on it. So let us know how we can support y'all, and y'all have an awesome weekend, and we will see y'all next week. Bye.